Jay-Z, nobody wants to celebrate the fact that Jay-Z takes a loss because he is a real like visionary when it comes to what he wants to see with New York. And this casino that they were trying to put down in Times Square that was going to be a $5.4 billion plan just got voted down 4-2 by the committee. And his attorney and all of the folks that was in there that was on Jay's side went to social media and they clapped at these New York City Advisory Committee members like it was crazy. I mean, it was basically it was voted down despite support from like, you know, the police commissioner and Al Sharpton and a bunch of business leaders who saw the potential for some profit. They voted it down about converting an office tower basically into a casino and a multiplex hotel. The project basically met a lot of opposition from Broadway theater owners and producers and the unions who work on Broadway because they were like, you're going to take all the attention and all the air out of Times Square and just move it into this big Trump Tower type of casino, because that's, I mean, the only way you can describe it. The building was going to be it was going to be a Vegas style building dropped into the middle of Times Square, and it was a $5.4 billion plan that Jay-Z was helming with a lot of executives, and it didn't happen.
Did they do it because of all the Broadway shows and everything over there? Like they didn't want to take away from that? Or
that's why Broadway is pushing back on it, because Broadway is like, you're going to basically pull New York's imprint from Times Square with all of the theater owners pushing against it, and also all of the theater unions, because you got a bunch of unions, and this is New York. Unions have a big swagger up there. So all of the people who make all the lights in Broadway stay on are like, you can't take our lights and give it to a casino. So that's basically what that was. So it's a loss for Jay-Z for now. That doesn't mean that he can't go back at him, because now here comes the dealings. Here comes the, hey, who were those people who voted against us? And now those people are going to get donations to their campaigns and, you know, and get to go meet Beyonce and stuff like that. And next thing you know, the next vote is going to be like, I got 2-4 now.
I think eventually this is going to change, only because I think there's so much going around on the Times Square period. Like, it's not just about Broadway. It's about the lights. It's about everything there, the street performers. I think that a casino there would actually be good for Times Square. But again, I don't live there. I'm not the person making the decisions.
I will just say, Beyonce, you know what you got to do. Make a lemon cake and invite these people over to the house, Beyonce. Make that mac and cheese that your mom taught you how to make. It's time for you to sweeten the pot. Jay-Z got the money, but you got the Beyonce. All right, so here's this is it's going to be a short conversation because Lord knows we see how it goes. But ABC TV has announced on yesterday that it is suspending Jimmy Kimmel Live. Jimmy Kimmel Live has been suspended, and for what they're calling it, comments that Jimmy apparently made about the MAGA movement trying to capitalize off of the death of the conservative Charlie Kirk. He accused conservatives of reaching new lows, trying to pin the left-wing ideology on the dude who is the suspected shooter. And so that basically is the long, exorbitant answer to it. He got canceled. Mm-hmm. That's all you basically need to know. The why and all that stuff, it basically is he got canceled. And this is right after Stephen Colbert got canceled. Yep. The president went on record and said in a post, great news for America. The ratings challenged Jimmy Kimmel show is, all caps, canceled. Congratulations to ABC for finally having the courage to do what had to be done. Kimmel has zero talent and the worst ratings ever, worst ratings than even Colbert, if that's possible. That leaves Jimmy and Seth, two total losers on fake news NBC. Their ratings are also horrible. Do it, NBC, President DJT.
I got a question.
Watch your questions.
And I'm afraid.
Just watch your questions. Don't be afraid.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid. Just don't say nothing.
But this is the thing
If you're
now.
unsure, I can't save you.
The fact that I'm even afraid.
That's what I'm
even
saying.
ask this question.
That's the thing you should rest on right
But
there.
what happened? My question is, what happened to free speech?
Well, free speech ain't free from consequence, and you can stand up on business and you can say, "I didn't." That's not mine. That's everybody else's.
But that's
heard
a
it. I've heard it 1,000 times, and you've probably heard it somewhere too. Just don't credit me with it. But it doesn't make it right. It doesn't, free speech was something that people, comedians, Bill Bellamy's coming in here. Comedians have gone through this thing where people really got super sensitive and started trying to cancel comedy. Comedy fought back. But this specifically is just a sensitive conversation because it's the money. The interpretation of it is this. They're affiliates that run shows. So ABC looks like they are the boss of Jimmy Kimmel, which is kind of true because ABC can move him from the Kimmel show, have him host their Oscars. They can do all kinds of stuff. He's a product of ABC, but ABC has partners across the country who syndicate his show. And one syndication company has more outlets than anybody else in the United States, and that's Sinclair Media. And Sinclair Media is very, very lockstep with the administration in Washington.
Gotcha.
So they said once they heard on their broadcast, it's like you own 50 TV stations and they all run Jimmy Kimmel and you're tight with the president. That means that when he goes on there and say something, now they're taking the opportunity to say, hey, reach out to Rich Broadcasting and say, hey, man, this dude's out here making jokes about us. We can go ahead and go and get that on their name. You say less. And then you hit him up like, you're off the air on all 50 of my stations unless y'all get rid of this guy. And so now that becomes a conversation. It used to be where broadcasters would step up and say, no, freedom of speech. This is our guy.
Exactly.
But these are the people who are paying you, so it's kind of like ABC was like, we're held over a barrel.
Okay,
you know what I mean? So, and the sad part is that we can't. It's sad. You can't talk about it.
You can't talk about it. Like you have. So yes, you do have the right to say something. That's like the First Amendment, but you're not free from any consequence of your bosses or anybody else like that, which is sad.
Well, it's not your boss. It's the people who, when Jimmy Kimmel was saying things throughout COVID, when Jimmy Kimmel went on about his child's heart and the medication and the surgery, and he had to take time off and stars came in to fill in for him. All of those heartfelt moments, the media company who is now basically ousting him got benefits.
Yeah.
They got ratings. So their commercials played, at a higher rate and everything else. So the sad part is all that he has brought to it now goes away because of basically, for lack of a better word, the bully pulpit. The bully pulpit is the people who have the money are like, yo, you're going to either sit down and shut up or we're going to take you away. Colbert was a very staunch opponent to the administration, and watching him lose his show shocked a lot of us. We worked for CBS. I worked for CBS most of my career. I didn't expect that happening at all, but CBS sat back like, yo, we can either have an enemy of the administration or we could just, piss off our viewers.
Yeah, and the thing with Stephen Colbert, which was so surprising, was he's probably the most closest thing to a journalist when it comes to late shows and everything. Like he really does his due diligence and all of his research when he does all of his bits.
Well, his team does, but he's a staunch comedian. He's just a well-read comedian, and he spent a lot of his time on being the opponent of the administration. So, it's sad because it's like, there's a lot of people who are going to lose, or like we've seen people losing jobs, people who have made comments on their social media, whether they're teachers, whether they're TV broadcasters. I've seen a bunch of stuff in the trades of people losing their jobs because they're just, it's a rule. It's a rule that nobody wants to talk about religion, people's pay, or politics. And that was always an old school way where it was like, hey, you know, people don't really want to get you into that. They want to just keep that for the pulpits that are on Sunday morning press and Fox News and you know, catch the CBS morning this and that and the other. But it's like now with social media, people's freedom of speech is being challenged because it's such a preponderance of speech.
Yeah.
Everybody out here has a pod. Everybody has an opinion. Everybody has some stuff. And they're looking at their right to say it and not looking at what the other side of it, the cost is. And it's not fair, but it's the power has the pen, you know, and they can write you off just as easily with that power. And so that's the hard part that we're having to try and maneuver. Hopefully this debate isn't over, because you can't lose all of your really, you know, funny comedians and writers. And what happens if somebody writes an ABC or an HBO streaming show that makes a dig in on somebody in the administration? Then next thing you know, somebody with power is going to get a phone call and say that guy's got to go. So it's like at some point it's got to break, and it's sad for content, because content used to be king. Now it's, you know, a much different ruler.
I know we got to go to break, so last quick question: do you think he comes back from this, Jimmy? And Steve?
doing something. I mean, they're not written off from the world, but their brand that they had, their pulpit that they had with an audience of about 1.5 million people a night, has unfortunately gone away. So
that's sad.
All right, yeah, definitely. We coming back. We got your confession at 7. Don't move. This is Wild 94.1. Good morning.
Thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate you guys. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel right here.